All right, guys, so the last video I put out was arm triangles, right, Kata Gatames, and we did two entries and talked about the finish from the Kata Gatame. And as I was editing that video, I thought that there was a lot more that I wanted to add to the, we talked about entering from the cross side, and Kevin showed that one, and then we talked about a little bit from the mount. I wanted to go over some more opportunities to enter into the, or uses for the head and arm, or the Kata Gatame, from the mount. So one of the things with no gi is that because we don't have a collar to choke, this person doesn't have to be as vigilant about their neck. So they're not always gonna have their arms up here like this, right? So because when you're like this and you're protecting your collar, when you have a gi, your elbows, your training partner's elbows are gonna be elevated a little bit. And so it's gonna be a little bit easier to kind of get behind them. But when they don't have a gi on, they don't have to protect their neck as much. So they can start like framing on your hips. They're gonna start moving, okay? So don't despair. We can still attack the neck and we can still use the head and arm. A couple different ways that we can go about this now. Okay, so when we're in here, mounted wise, my first priority, if I can do it, is to get the person to their side, right? So if the person is trying to elbow escape or hip escape, I'm going to, if I can, let them do it. So this is not always going to be the time right here if you're upright to try to do a head and arm choke, because keep your frames in good, right? Getting behind these elbows when they make a good frame, like across my hips, this is going to be hard. Like pulling this up from here is going to be really hard. So what we have to do is, first off, is when we feel the frame and he goes to escape, I want a technical mount. Okay, so you see, I'm letting him turn. Okay, instead of trying to stay here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my hands on the mat, and then when Tyler goes to frame, I'm gonna bring my foot up like that. And so now what happens is he's brought his own elbow behind me. Now classically, from here, you would take the wrist control and you're gonna go right into the gift wrap, okay? So we always wanna let the person, if they're gonna frame, here, we wanna let them. So if we're here, I come up. From here, right? I'm gonna take that wrist, I take that thumb over here and I push it down. And then I'm gonna go get that arm into the gift wrap. Now if I can get that inside, now we can start attacking to go to the back, okay? Or an arm lock, whatever you like. But even from this position, you can do the head and arm choke, okay? So what I would do is from here, I wanna bring my head across, right? And I wanna bring him back down. So I'm cross facing him. And you say, keep my ear tight to his ear, right? From here, because his arm is up, it's trapped, now I can go into my head and arm choke, okay? So anytime you have that gift wrap, I know sometimes it can be, it's gonna be hard. The person often is gonna try, they feel this, they're gonna put their elbow, try to get their elbow back to the ground. Yeah, they're gonna free their arm, they're gonna try to go back, you're gonna try to bring your elbow down, get your back flat to the ground, right? So if he does that, you're gonna lose it. So what you're doing is you're here, and you see I come across. And so I don't really care if he puts his back on the ground, because as long as my ear stays tight to his tricep, he's not going to be able to take it back, right? He's not going to be able to escape. Okay, so this is a good way to get to the head and arm choke from the mount. Gordon, in his matches, you'll see a lot of times the guys are holding their arms together, okay? And so Gordon is really good about separating the arms. Now I'm no Gordon Ryan, and he's a lot bigger and stronger than me. But what he does is very interesting. He takes this thumb over grip, okay? And he attacks the arm that's under, okay? So if you see Tyler's, he's got one hand over. If I try to do this, because this is anchored, if you will, right? So this hand, his right hand in this case, the top hand, if I try to do this, it's really hard to peel it off, okay? And I'm just pushing. Okay, so if we're sweating and I slip off, now he's just going to go and he's going to hit us, right? That's when he would explode, and I'm not in a good position anymore, okay, to attack his neck. So don't go from here, don't try to push this one off. The better way is to take this under grip here. So I'm going to the bottom hand, this is the arm that is going, it's closest to the floor, if you will, and there's nothing really behind it. He's got this on top. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it across. okay? We're not gonna keep it there, but that's a good way to take off the hand. Now, you're here, you gotta keep your hand in your grips. If you're here, sometimes you can peel off. If the guy's really strong, he's a good grip, you can start to peel, right? So as long as you're not like trying to bend one finger back, it's still legit. So you can come in and you can start peeling. I'm grabbing all of his fingers. I'm gonna go scoop into his pinky, right here. And now I cross grip it right there. Okay, so you can see now his elbow's up and I can start coming underneath the elbow right away. Okay, this isn't gonna happen, he's not gonna be able to stay here forever, right? If I do this and I just try to hold him, it's not gonna work, but he can't elbow escape right now. It's really hard because I have his hand pinned and his elbow is outside my knee line, right? So it's not here. This is where it needs to be inside my leg to have an effective knee cut, or elbow escape, sorry. So when I do this, you see his elbow is over my knee. When Tyler tries to elbow escape, right, it's actually a lot easier to get underneath. So it's gonna look a little bit like a Americana choke or Americana arm lock, but I'm not trying to switch here. All I want is my bicep behind his tricep, okay? And as we're here, Tyler's in a little bit of a kind of a dilemma, right? Because I could come over and get to this wrist control, okay? And start attacking on that Americana, okay? This is kind of like a weird little grip on the Americana, okay? Instead of doing this and which is almost never, almost never gonna get that. When you come over here and you grab like this actually has some bite to it, right? Because I have his wrist. So when he tries to like power your hand out, so Tyler has really flexible hands and wrists, he's not gonna tap, but I can start pulling this back in. Crazy. So we're taking that cross grip here, I push down, and now as he goes to hip escape or get his arm out, you see how I find that space. Now, like I said, this is not a high percentage, but when I'm here like this, it becomes easier to pull it across. And then I get into this, now I have my ear behind Tyler's tricep. And now we're in the head and arm position, okay? Now I can start coming underneath, get the arm to gather the head and the arm, and now I can start coming up, dismounting, getting out to the side to finish that theory. So look, I'm taking this, I'm going thumb up, here, and I go, okay? And you can hold it. So Tyler tries to get his arm back, it's hard. He's not gonna elbow escape on me, okay? Now from here, I can start gathering that arm. And then you pull it across, right there, okay? Now I'm pulling it across, but you can always, like if I'm here and I come up, I can always just get my head underneath and start using my head as well in my body. So that's another option. Let's talk about somebody who is maybe framing more on me, okay? And you probably see this, you know, in the Gordon match, in the Dinez match, he did it, and I think he probably did it in the other matches too, but I have to go back and look, is when the person frames, there's two things you can do. The one is, probably more than two things, but one of the things that's very common is you go to technical mount. The other thing is a cross face, okay? So when the person frames on you, a classic thing, a very easy thing to do is just go get their face, okay? And now I put my weight down. If Tyler tries to hip escape on me, because I control his head, right, it's really hard for him to like push me back, right? I'm locking my hips into him, all right, with my arm, and I'm keeping him flat. So that doesn't just doing that is not gonna get the arm up. So we wanna convince our training partner to bring his elbows up. And the way to do that without the gi, right, is to start doing Ezekiel's, okay? Now, this is not, I have finished the no-gi Ezekiel like that, but it's not really meant to finish a person, it's meant to make them defend, okay? One of the best guys ever to do this with a gi or without a gi is Roger Gracie. If you watch how he gets to his cross choke so well and how he maintains the mount, is that he goes for that Ezekiel, and the person has to bring their arms up, and that's why he gets so many chokes and why he gets so many arm locks, because you have to respect it. So if nothing else, when I'm here and I go like this, if Tyler doesn't react, right, I just come in, and so here's the other thing, guys, and I'll show you this, is when I do the no-gi Ezekiel, I'm not punching like this. I'm driving my shoulder this way. So I'm bringing his neck to my fist, okay? Just like this. So I'm in, I get as much as I can, and I've seen people who do like the ridge hands, who get in like that. I just do a fist, because I like to
and I just go over my own wrist, right? And now I start going here. Now I'm here. I don't want to go down. I don't want to get into this hug position because we're kind of equal here. If you look at it, we're symmetrical. Okay? So what I want is when I'm here, I have my elbow over his elbow. If he wants to defend, right? If you're going to bring your head up, your arm up, he's got to get inside the little hole, right? Go ahead, defend. I can grab his wrist. And now, look, I can start walking this arm across. And that's going to be a battle, but because I have the wrist, it makes it a little bit easier. So, again, make sure we can see. I'm here, maybe he's framing, right? I get a punch, not literally punch, I just press. My bottom hand, the cross-face arm, is going to come and find my wrist. Yeah, so he's here, he's going to push. I actually will let go and I'll take that arm. And again, we're in this Americana position, but because my arm is under his head, it's probably not going to work. But I don't want it, I don't need that. All I need is to get this hand, walk it, right? Walk, walk. Try to get this straight, and when it gets far enough, I'm here. Okay? And now what I like to do is I like to take this hand, and I go and find his armpit. And so this gives me a lot of ability to push down. So if you're just here like this, you can get, if you're not careful, you can get thrown to your right side, right, wherever you're trapping. But when I go here, I hold his armpit, and I drive down, he's not going to throw me that way. And if he does, if he bridges his hips to come bring it over, that helps me step across, okay? Now, another one that I do, and this will probably be the last one, is I like to be here, and I try to take this hand here, and then this hand, I try to swim. And I referenced this before in the last video. So, when I'm here, I just want to make another little point. When I get behind this elbow here, you see I just bring this here, and so when I walk up, you're often not going to get this arm. He's going to keep it chicken wing. So what I do is I try to find his head. Okay, so I come over, and so it keeps that there. So as Tyler tries to get his arm back, right, I have his head. So here, again, I find the wrist. Okay, so you'll see a lot of this is about wrist control, and it looks a lot like Americana, but don't get caught up in the Americana. If it's there, yeah, use it. I really like this weird little Americana position here, right? Because here, I don't have to commit the second arm. In fact, I can just start pulling this back, okay? So I can be here, you can do this, but I think this is really hard because now this person's gonna start messing with your arm. If I do this, it starts pushing you across, right? And now he shrimps and gets it all out. So I like instead to come here, right? And then you can hold the head here, and then you can start pulling it back like this. Now, is that always gonna get the tap? No, if you're real super flexible like Tyler, he'll just eat it. He doesn't really feel any pain. So, your mileage will vary with each one of these, okay? So from the mount, this is also an excellent way to control the position. I find this a lot. Again, I'll go over a real super basic one. Tyler goes to, look, if you're training with somebody brand new or somebody who's just started, a lot of times they'll push up on your chest, right? And so from here, you can do that. And so I'll just show you in slow-mo what I'm doing. If he pushes up on my chest, look, I'm gonna take one hand in between, like this, and then the other hand comes at the elbow. And you can sit up a little bit. So that's it. So the person goes like this, that's all it is. Just come in, see I'm coming in right at the elbows. And so this one's just a post at behind the elbow. Here, and we go right in, okay? And now, like I said, I wanna get this hand all the way to his armpit. Don't get into this. There's no pressure right now. Even if I lay on Tyler and I squeeze, that's nothing like the pressure of this. Right? You feel the difference, Tyler? Mm-hmm. Right? So when I'm here like this, if Tyler tries to roll me to your left, right? He's gonna give me his back. Right? And that's what we want the whole time. Okay? I'd like to finish Tyler from the front, from the mount, but if he's gonna give me his back, if he's even strong enough to take me over, let me see if I can just hold you. All right? So if I'm here, let me see if I can hold you. So if I go here, I'm just gonna let him go. If you're not strong enough to hold him down, I think if I try to do that to Tyler, he'd probably be able to hold me down. Then we're just gonna go right to the back. Right? Right here. This is a different version of the back, but. Okay, so always be ready. Because when the person bridges, you're in a good position, you're gonna take the back, okay? Or, if we're here, go back. You know, I'm here and Tyler bridges, all right? That's when you would dismount. And then you're gonna get in here, come over, right? When we're in this position, you know, when I think about finishing this head and arm, you know, I really want to get my shoulder down on his neck. So it's just like a regular triangle, right? This is trying to push this way, and you're trying to close off the other side of his neck with your shoulder, okay? So a lot of times people, when they're here, they just try to drive down, okay? And that's a mistake, right? If I have a good grip and I just try to drive down, I don't know if you feel any pressure there, Tyler, that you would tap to, right? Because I don't really, even though my shoulder is blocking his neck, I'm not really squeezing down. So what I like to do here is I like to, like before I mentioned, like I get to this shoulder and I really try to bring my shoulder into his neck, right? And when I go here, right, I'm putting my shoulder down into his neck. So I'm like doing this. And I have bony shoulders, so they hurt probably too. But this is a choke where if you just do squeeze, it can take a long time. Not to say it won't work. But I really like to kind of bring my shoulder, same idea of like I'm using my shoulder to bring your neck to my fist. It's the same idea. I want to get here, right? In this position, I go palm to palm. So I go palm to palm, right? And then I squeeze, but it's not a squeeze like this. It's a squeeze like here. So my shoulder finds that little spot where it's set, okay? And that's usually pretty successful. Guys do different things. They might do like answering the phone, right? So yeah, they bring that. So whenever they do this, right, you can come here. Yeah, I like that one too, right? You can bring it over your head, right? So the thing is, if you just pull, there's not really a fulcrum at this. So if you bring it over your head, a little slow. All right, so he's going with the answer the phone here, bring it over your head. Yeah. So that's a good one. The other one that people do is they wrap their leg. I used to do that one until I went to sleep one day. So let's say he wraps his leg. Go hook your leg with your arm. Okay. Yes, like this. So you'll see that the benefit for Tyler of this is that it creates all this space. I can no longer like break this down, okay? So this is an example of, you don't want to let him do that. Get his leg. So how do I not let him do that? If he doesn't, I personally, some people will smash through it and they're able to do it. Usually it's against a smaller person or a weaker person, they're able to just smash through. Against a guy who's as strong as you or stronger, it's going to be really hard. Like me, if I just try to squeeze Tyler, it's probably not going to work. So when I'm here, right, I have to stay heavy on his arm. It's kind of harder for him to get. See, and I'll use my butt to prevent his legs from coming up. So if you go off too quick like this, it can hook because I'm not blocking him anymore. So let's say we're here. The thing that you have to think of is like I need to close the gaps before I go completely off of him. So if I get to here, right, there's no way at this point that he's able to get to his leg because my body's in the way, right? So unless he's like 8 feet tall. So before I get off, I have to make sure that my shoulder and my ear is set, right? And I'm already all set in, right? And now I'll squeeze, and you see I have my leg on his hooking over his legs. And so that's blocking his legs from being able to come up, okay? It might take you a little bit longer to finish the choke because I'm not going out so far, but he's not going to be able to lock his arm. So if that's something that you run into with anybody, or you just find people like locking in, don't just rush for the head and arm. Set it up. Make sure you don't have to do anything until you're all set up here, because if you have that all locked in, he can't go anywhere, right? The only thing he can do is turn, and then you're going to take his back. Okay. So when we're here, once I get this, right, I'm going to wait. I'm here like this, right? I'm gonna really pin down this way. I'm actually using my shoulder to make his face turn. So here, right, I come up and look, I will hook his legs, right, and then I lock in. So you wanna make sure, eventually if you do dismount, right, so look, I hold, he's got big beefy arms, so it's kinda hard to get in there, right? So I'll go here, I put my head on the ground, I'll drive, and look, my foot is still hooking his leg. So when he tries to bring his leg up, it's really hard. So I'm here tight, now look at my hands. I go, this is my left hand here, and now I'm gonna start driving down. And I keep my feet on his leg.